there's a moment on these conversations that Moraes' chief of staff literally says, well, it makes me want to send some thugs to grab this guy by force and shove him on a Brazilian plane. He's talking about kidnapping. The Moraes chief of staff is talking about kidnapping a journalist on U.S. soil.
Mr. Figueiredo, can you see me, hear me, sir?
Very well, Stephen. How are you?
I am doing okay. I don't know what to plug. Where's the best place for people to go before we start talking to support you? I know you're stateside, but obviously, where should people of Brazil go?
Well, they can go to locals. I have my own website. It's my name, which is very hard to type in English, but it's paulofigueiredoshow.com. And I'm also on X, and so people can support me several ways.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of X, right, this is kind of a development. Elon is now shutting down the X office in Brazil. What has changed? Because I know before he was maybe kind of kowtowing a little bit, or was it under the guise of terms of service violations? Can you let people know what the change is right now as far as Elon Musk and the status of, voices of opposition in Brazil and X?
Well, first of all, I hope you like my mug.
I do.
Yeah, I hope you do. So things in Brazil are always kind of crazy. We're a crazy bunch, as you know firsthand. But these last 2 weeks have been totally insane. Okay, I haven't been able to hit the mats. No jiu-jitsu for me. And I think you guys did a solid summarizing what went down in Brazil. But there's a little bit of context, because last Tuesday, Glenn Greenwald, that Glenn Greenwald, the American journalist who blew the lid off the U.S. deep state and the NSA with the Snowden files, the Pulitzer winner and all, very leftist, he dropped a bombshell in Brazil. So for those who are out of the loop, Glenn lives in Brazil. He was married to a Brazilian socialist congressman who recently passed. And he got his hands on 6 gigabytes of cell phone chats, conversations from the staff of Moraes, of Brazil's dictator Moraes. And man, those conversations were damning as hell, for sure. So for
I would
starters,
also imagine very gay, but yes, go on.
Well, you'll be the judge of that, okay? For starters, the first report showed that on December 30th, and we're talking about Folha de São Paulo is a leftist mainstream newspaper in Brazil. They're often compared to the New York Times, okay? They're the largest, most known newspaper in the country. So Glenn Greenwald, on this newspaper, he showed on his report that on December 30th, while everyone was partying and getting drunk, Moraes, a justice from the Supreme Court, was putting together a dossier against on me and another journalist, Rodrigo Constantino, who is also based here in the U.S. So I think that's very hard to wrap your head around, because finding out that a Supreme Court justice is building a dossier against you, it's mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that a judge is supplying evidence for accusation, it's definitely a violation, a crazy violation of due process. So when he was not happy with the dossier, his lackeys asked for more of my tweets to be added, saying, well, he's got a bee on his bonnet. So, and when that happens, it's a nightmare. So he's at staff talking about him, right, putting up a dossier against journalists. So in another chat, he's asking to censor Brazil's highest right-wing magazine. And when the people say they only found journalist content on the site, they can't censor that. Moraes' right-hand man orders, get creative.
Right.
But there's way more. I don't want to get into all the details.
So it is, I mean, this is something people need to know. Of course, you had an election that many people in Brazil and the United States questioned. And again, like I said, there are many ways to tilt an election or outright steal an election. And silencing voices of opposition, silencing stories, and removing content that could inform the public and certainly would inform their vote is one of those ways. What's odd to me, I shouldn't say odd, is that even after the election that they won in Brazil. They're still pushing for it, which means they want a stranglehold forevermore, right? They want to maintain that grip on power. Let me ask you this, since ex-employees may not be like in danger in Brazil anymore, do you think that Elon's going to be reinstating all of these accounts that the Brazilian Supreme Court forced him to ban?
I don't know. I left out the worst part of the dialogues of Moraes, because there's one point where his chief of staff talks about Alan dos Santos, who you met.
Yeah, great guy.
You know very well. Great guy. Journalist, also a journalist, also under asylum here in the U.S. There's a moment on these conversations that Moraes' chief of staff literally says, well, it makes me want to send some thugs to grab this guy by force and shove him on a Brazilian plane. He's talking about kidnapping. The Moraes' chief of staff is talking about kidnapping a journalist on U.S. soil.
Yeah,
and that's on the dialogue.
Well, and dos Santos has, by the way, spent time in prison. A lot of people don't realize that too. Like this is not just one new example. So the fact that they're still trying to persecute it's got to be terrifying.
Well, I was the one that spent time on prison. Alan didn't yet, so we hope he doesn't.
Oh, I guess he spent time in exile.
He's been here under exile since 2021. So here's the kicker. So we started to have the mainstream media criticizing Moraes. Senators of Brazil huddled up and said they were going to push for Moraes' impeachment. An online petition for his impeachment kicked off on Friday, had already reached, as we talk, 800,000 signatures. Wow. There's a protest. Elon Musk was invited for this protest demonstrations on September 7th, which is our Independence Day in Brazil. Musk was invited by a Brazilian congressman, and the word on the street says it's going to be the biggest in Brazilian history. We're talking about millions of people. Wow. Okay, this is the context. And then that's what happened. Now, let's talk back. Let's talk X, as you asked. Moraes hit back, ordering X to block new profiles, including my 5th profile opened last month.
Right.
Yes, 5th profile. I kept opening new accounts. He kept closing them out. And he already blocked 4 of them, and this one had 150,000 followers. So he went out like asking for more profiles to be censored. Apparently, there was a mix-up notifying serving X legal reps in Brazil who had changed recently. And if you ask me, I think Elon Musk was already phasing out X out of Brazil, following to his promise early this year. So Moraes took this as X flipping him the bird and threatening 3 things. 1, to freeze the bank accounts of X employee, the legal representative in Brazil, as an individual, not the company, the individual.
Wow.
He also put the company's execs from their positions. Yes. We have government judge putting executives out of the company. And finally, he threatened to throw them in prison for content.
Right.
So Elon Musk finally said enough of this crap and pulled the plug on X operations in Brazil. As for now, the platform is still up and running, but there's a real chance he might block the DNS of X and ask for the removal from the App Store and Google Play Store in any second.
Right.
VPN downloads in Brazil went through the roof. Then yesterday, Proton VPN, who's a sponsor of my channel, one of the largest in Brazil, they vanish from Apple App Store, and no one knows why. Proton's Twitter account said that it might be due to a secret censorship order from Moraes. So that's where we stand right now.
Is that just it's disappeared in Brazil or globally?
In Brazil.
Okay. All right. Can people still, is there a way around it where they can go to the website and download it?
Yeah, well, you can download it through the website, and people that use Androids can also download either through the Google Play Store or they can people that use.
Well, give it a big plug. Let people know while you're right.
Straight people, yeah, straight people that use that don't use iPhones. They can.
Hey, I'm not the one who enjoyed prison, buddy.
Well, yeah. I didn't drop the soap, though.
No, you didn't. You gave other people soap baskets like Sherry's Berries. So I get that it's a power move, but still, you didn't have to have that big of a smile on your face. But where is it? So what's the website where people can go who are watching right now so they can download this VPN?
I think protonvpn.com, they can download the VPN. But other VPNs are also very good. Proton is sponsored by ExpressVPN is good, NordVPN. Other VPNs work.
Okay.
The only thing that's weird is the fact that we already have an app that's being censored by the Brazilian court, apparently. So that's where we stand right now. And look, people got to realize the magnitude of that. Brazil has 220 million people, is the 5th largest market of X in the world. And X operates in 195 countries. So this is like 2 countries more than the UN has as members.
Right.
So the fact that Brazil is shutting down X is huge.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you this. What do you think the end game is? What actions are being taken in Brazil by the people, aside from just what you've just mentioned? Are there other steps that can be taken to stop this judge specifically? Are people becoming aware of Moraes, the judge specifically? Because you can come on here and talk about it. Do the Brazilian people know how corrupt this guy is and how far his power reaches?
Well, the pressure is definitely starting to build up. Moraes, a year ago, he was winning all the awards as like personality of the year. It's like the cover of the Time magazine. He was the savior of the Brazilian democracy. It's like almost like the press was treating Moraes kind of like the same way that the U.S. press used to treat Anthony Fauci. Like,
right.
This is greatest guy in the planet. He's saving our society and all that. That started to change. And now we're seeing Congress starting. They're very afraid of Moraes, but they're starting to take a few steps. And then you have this petition. People expect that until September 7th, this petition will have 5 million signatures. And then there's the demonstrations on September 7th. Bolsonaro will be there. Musk was invited. So it's supposed to be big. So the pressure is building up. Also, it looks like the U.S. Congress is going to introduce the Brazilian Democracy and Freedom Act anytime in September. That's what I've heard. And that will propose sanctions to Brazilian authorities that violates human rights, such as free speech. So the pressure is building up. And the only way for the country to survive this is impeaching Moraes.
Right.
Otherwise, things are not great in Brazil at all. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here with as many journalists prohibited from going back to my country.
Right.
But look, can you imagine the moral hazard if we have all these dialogues, chats becoming public, and nothing happens?
Right.
He's going to be more and more empowered. So we have 2 ways. One, we impeach Moraes and we establish a little bit of the rule of law in Brazil. Things will get better. Show accountability for those who violate the basic human rights. The alternative is Moraes stays in power, things are staying the same, and he becomes more empowered, and who knows what's going to happen. Definitely what we look like is that we're going to become more and more similar to Venezuela.
Hey, if you like this video, you can comment or hit the notification bell to know when there are more videos, but it's probably taken from today's full show, which you can watch here. It's live, weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern, where you can watch live. But I don't know when you're watching this, so it could be any of the day's show. When right now you're watching, it could be a Monday, it could be a Tuesday, Wednesday, could be Thursday. Well, it could be Friday.